Hello, welcome to the Link to the Past Randomizer daily race here on Speed Gaming 3. We have ourselves an open weekly with between Sin, Lana Bean, Yorker's Wife, and Hayfield Bay. I'm Professor Renner, and joining me is Forgotten Toupee. How are you doing?
Good afternoon, everybody, or good evening, or good morning, where everybody is. I'm doing well, Professor Renderer. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. We have our Sunday open weekly, so it's an open 7-7, just pretty much your block center open 7, just normal stuff. We got some pretty good runners here. Amongst the sprite options here, we have I think it's Adol from Quest. I don't know really for sure.
I'm not sure either.
We do, but I do know Yorker's Wife is using Zelda, and Hayfield Bay is using Mega Man X.
Got our first map check. We got a pendant over in Desert and blue crystals. And the other two Light World dungeons. That's always nice to see. Do our first tree pull, getting free hearts. Good for nothing at this point of the race.
Yeah, that's just a tier 1 that's not really particularly useful.
A lot of mean finding the full magic on the crab pull, though. It's good information for later on. And the bow on the uncle.
That is actually a standard it's actually a standard item that you can find if you play with randomized swords.
And this early in the race, well, bow is always a little tricky, I feel like. The later you find bow, the more you want to find it. But now that we have it, we feel pretty safe. Especially if our runners can do dark rooms and pull off Pod and Eastern Palace pretty easily. Sin going for the early bomb purchase. He has concerns about getting those bombs before going into the rest of the overworld checks. And he's dashing his way over to Zahashula's hut. That's not something you see very often before even Kakariko or Mimic Cave. We are 2 minutes into the race, and it's hard to believe how much deviation we already have. So quick shout outs to our trackers today for Jinxie Girl and Robs. They're pulling overtime already.
Yeah, they are unsung heroes of these races. So without them, we won't even have a string to begin with.
Sin doesn't find anything in Sahashula's closet, but he is going to go ahead and head on over to Eastern Palace. He has the bow, so he doesn't need anything else to beat that dungeon.
Yeah, it should be interesting because this is effectively you're kind of doing this somewhat NMG style where you don't have arrows coming in, like if any, but there is a pot that you can pick up that gives you 5 arrows.
Yeah, the biggest problem for him is going to be the popos in the dark rooms when he tries to go into the boss section of the dungeon. But if he finds anything else, he'll be in good shape. And it doesn't look like Blind's Hut has anything good either. Where are the items?
Yeah, this is a very dry start, even though we did have a bow to begin with.
No sword, no hearts. Goodness, just a bunch of junk.
Yeah, 4 hearts with only green mail, and our only thing that's light up on the tracker is the bow. This is it is kind of barren so far. But
yeah, our experienced runners aren't going to have a problem with this, but any of our newer runners, and we have I think 17 people running today, they're going to have a little bit of difficulty with such a limited start.
For sure, yeah, because this is with a very limited pool that you have, that does limit your options for better or for worse. If you for here, Sin here is actually very comfortable going into Eastern with such low equipment and such low equipment.
Yeah, so Sin's hoping he finds something, but even if he doesn't, I mean, he's already going to get a crystal dungeon finish by probably like a 6 or 7 minute mark.
Ooh, but that actually does help. That's a hammer. That was out of Eastern Palace for Sin in the as I like to call the spiral chest. I believe that's the map chest.
And the Moon Pearl. Oh man, Sin.
Making the right call, and we're just gonna go see the back of the skate. We're gonna see the back here. Like going to go ahead and play that 50-50 game. Just hoping that the Armos Knights having the remaining item. There is a mushroom for Hayfield Bay and Lana Bean.
We can see the Popos were giving Sin trouble by getting in the way of his arrows, but he finds the key. It looks like he just needs... Yeah, there he is. That's really hard if you don't have a sword or Cane of Samaria, something to track yourself with. So props to Sin just getting that. Actually blinds Darkroom through.
Yeah, this goes to show that like these are some runners that can actually navigate dark rooms. Dark rooms are an interesting little beast in themselves. It's more of a comfort thing. If you don't know, like when you're starting out as a random player, more likely than not, you're just gonna wait for a lamp to show up just to stay in logic. Or a fire rod if the logic plays nice with you, which in this case it was, where we had the access to back of it to the boss room, which as for those who aren't aware, if you have a fire, if the Eastern Palace big key is in a spot that's nowhere, it is not the vanilla big key chest, then the fire rod becomes a logical space.
Oh my god! Speaking of the fire rod,
wow! So so in that situation, that actually means it's lamp locked. And as we saw there, Sin winning the 50-50 and getting handsomely rewarded with that.
Good God. This is... I don't even know what to say about this. Sin is just on fire, I guess.
Yeah, this is Sin making the correct play to go into Eastern as early as he did, and like I mentioned, getting rewarded immensely for that play.
And Lana Bean's only just getting over to South Shore on our other restreamers. Has to use bombs to kill the mimics.
Which isn't too bad. If like you do want to play a little patiently when you're just kind of watching the mini boulderms and then just throwing your bomb as it flashes. That's what I prefer to do, but we did find some boots and a sword.
A sword. Nice. Leaving a present behind for our resident thief.
Yeah, Lana wasn't not really impressed about it, considering how it was. Kakariko came up with literally nothing, and the mushroom was nothing too, as we saw from Hayfield Bay, opting to save scum it after checking it. So that little rude, that's kind of somewhat of a rude awakening for these runners.
Yeah, let's talk about that mushroom save that Hayfield did. So if he finds a Cane of Samaria, and eventually he's going to find the hammer out of Eastern Palace, he will be able to use that mushroom dupe to do a magic powder glitch on the Bat Cave in Kakariko without having to actually have the powder. And if he actually finds an item, which doesn't happen very often, then he'll have a comfortable advantage with that.
Yeah, that is fake powder. That is just kind of weird behavior with the fact that the hammer and the powder share the same spot for some random reason. With the Samaria in particular, like if you use the Samaria when you don't have any magic and you quickly switch over to a mushroom, it does qualify as a powder for some reason.
Lana, again, not happy with the chest she's finding, leaves a bomb present for the waterfall fairy.
How rude.
But yeah, I feel like the longer rando is a thing, and we have a rando community, the more useful the Cane of Samaria gets. I mean, before Icebreaker and the Diver Down glitch with Cane of Samaria, that magic bat glitch already increased its value. So I mean, the longer people play this, the more value we get out of the most game-breaking item in the game.
Yeah. So we actually are seeing Hayfield Bay going for as Structural Mike is putting out in the chat, the double water walk. So what he already did was set up a water walk. Oh, there's a lamp from.
Now we're back in logic.
All right, so that's nice. Nice early logic.
Not very interesting logic though.
No, but it is But for the starting game, it does feel a little bit more comfortable for some of the newer runners, knowing that the lamp is as early as it is, being able to go into that very much loaded Eastern Palace.
Yeah, it's a shame. Sin made a great play getting in there, but that doesn't actually lead into anything that everyone else is gonna find or isn't gonna find.
No, if anything. Sin might be able to grab the Sin might, if Sin does find like a glove or something, then that does help because that will be Dark World access, I guess.
I mean, at this point, what have we not checked? Zora, Agina's Cave.
So Hayfield checking out Zora Ledge wasn't really anything to note. Checking King Zora himself reveals a bottle.
Gross.
Well, that does open up Stick Kid, but that's complete. But that's it.
Yeah, good bit of safety though, coming with some red goo. And oh yeah, Hyrule Castle. We haven't seen any of the basement checks, have we?
No, we haven't seen Escape coming up. We do also have Dark Logic in play from that lamp from Bunk Rocks, which is exactly what Lana Bean is going to go ahead and do now. Which, I mean, with it being this early in the game, you might as well just kind of go for it. There isn't now. We're not going to be seeing the Dark Cross first because we don't have mirrored, and none of the enemies can deal enough damage to quickly enough damage to knock down Lana Bean. So we're going to go to the first 3 chests we find to start off.
Blinker's wife going to be our next runner, making a dive into Eastern Palace. Gonna find 3 goodies in there.
Yeah, although she does not have that lamp, which what I'm kind of hoping is that she does use that sword as like a little indicator where she's at. Which if you have a sword, that's actually a really nice way to kind of navigate the dark rooms because the sparkles of you charging the sword actually is not part of the darkened light.
I mean, it's like the developers weren't even trying when they developed the dark room.
Well, I mean they were. I mean, this is under the impression that the lamp was. This is under the impression that the lamp would be found. I mean, and with it being Zelda, of course you're gonna find a lamp this early on. There's like 3 spots you can pick up a lamp from.
Right, because you can get Link's house, that first chest after Uncle, and then what was the 3rd spots?
Here in Zelda's cell.
Oh, in the basement. Okay.
Yeah. Lana being getting kind of a rude awakening with that heart, but that doesn't really. Yeah, and even as Mike's pointing out, you can't even escape unless you have the lamp. So just as like a frame of reference for that.
Yeah, very good points. All right, Lana Bean, let's see what's in the Dark Cross. We are assuming there's going to be something here. We don't have very many checks left we haven't seen yet in the early part of the game.
We do also have Bag of Escape via the fact that we did get a key in the first chest in the Bag of Escape, and there's our glove.
And that gives us Dark World access once everyone finds those items.
Yeah, especially Sin, in the fact that Sin will get he's already getting his boots and sword.
You know, and it's kind that the sea didn't give us a master sword already, because you know at that point I'd be afraid somebody would try to do a early Aghanim, and it doesn't look like that's going to be necessary.
No. And Lana being not finding anything, she's in the back of Escape, so not really. So she's gonna have to. Yeah, she's gonna go and have to go to Eastern at this point. She will be the first player with Dark World access.
So all in all, a pretty nice start. Well, I'll go say nice, like 6 out of 10 start. Nothing super fun, but also nothing that's really trying out to get you.
Yeah, and honestly, this is just generic stuff. We also did get information. I don't know if this was found earlier, but Misery Mire is revealed to be the Green Pendant. So
Yeah,
that's
the first time we're seeing that.
That's actually kind of nice if knowing that one of the medallion dungeons is a pendant, because if Turtleback is the other pendant, then it's possible that the Candace Samaria may not be necessary to complete the game, provided that GT has the big key on the left side as opposed to the right.
Fingers crossed. Nothing's worse than playing a seed for an hour and a half, trying to go to Gaines Tower and finding out, oh, we're missing the Candace Samaria.
Now, don't jinx me on this. I am just putting it in the sense of perspective later on down the road. It's called color commentary.
We're just here to provide some good old-fashioned Sunday entertainment.
Yes. I guess what I mean, if you don't watch football, then you can watch this too.
This is my football.
This is my football too. Shout out to Cincinnati, by the way.
And I feel like I talk about this a lot too, but this is just, it goes to show you, rando's gonna rando. There are some seeds where everyone can take 4 different paths in the first 2 minutes of the game, like we saw here, and then here we're 17 minutes in and 2 players in the same dungeon, and no one's done anything that no one else has anymore.
Right, yeah, and I already mentioned this too. Lana Beam will be the first player to gain Dark World access, although Yoinker's wife is close. Along with Hayfield B, because Lana Beam and Hayfield are pretty much neck and neck. However, Lana Beam will be the first actual player to gain Dark World access. Although it is neck and neck.
So, and Lana might play this several different ways. But in my head, do you think she's going to be going to Dark Palace directly after finishing Eastern?
I reckon not. You have Dark World access through Hammer. The number one way that the number one route afterwards is heading south of Link's house, grabbing that portal and taking it to Hype Cave.
For sure, nice and safe.
Now, if she wanted to, she can take the Hype Cave route, and then follow it up to Pod. That is possible.
And we haven't even seen what the Dark World crystals are yet, so we might see Pod's Appendant dungeon, and our players might avoid that for another half hour or so.
Yeah, of course, and that's also kind of the thing. It's always dependent on the pendant. If it's a pendant dungeon, then it becomes it's maybe not. Now, of course, some people will go into Pod to a pendant Pod, just hoping to find something and kind of playing the gamble. It's 5 items, so
yeah, Pod's tricky like that.
Yeah. So, and actually it looks like Lana Bean's just going to go ahead to Pod, making a fool out of me.
Yeah, and, the only reason... If we had already had Dark World access going into this dungeon, I bet she wouldn't be doing this play, but this seems, a quick way to big brain this seed. If she goes in there and finds something super important, like the hook shots or the mirror. So it's a gamble, but one that might pay off.
And as
both medallion dungeons are pendants today.
Yep, just as I mentioned, with 5-6 being on Skullwoods and Swamp Palace. So that possibility of the K not being required is very much a possibility here.
Sin using the boomerang to get a swag grab of the big key.
Yeah, that's a. You actually see that you see that in the boomerang chest in the NMG run, where runners will use the boomerang to grab the key from the second key guard after they pick it up. And it looks like Hayfield Bay wanting to play it up to the mountain. Not going into the Dark World just yet. However, Sin will be approaching the glove pretty soon. And with Sin clearing out Eastern already, this is definitely the case for after when he's done with the Bag of Escape, he's gonna go to Hype Give. Again.
Yeah, someone's gonna do it.
Yeah, like I mentioned, it is the number one starter if you have a glove and hammer Dark World access.
And I like Hayfield's play right here. Some people might see this and think, oh, isn't this wasting a little bit of time? Well, he's opening up a new save points or new load-in point for when he saves and quits. So even if he doesn't find anything in Spectacle Rock here, it's not wasted time. He's going to be back in Death Mountain several times throughout this run.
Yeah, and it's also very convenient.
Ooh, flutes on top of Spectacle Rock.
So that is mirror locked, and unfortunately, there is no way to gain access to. Unfortunately, there is no way to get that mirror just yet. However, we do see. I don't know if Hayfield wants to do this, considering the amount of health that he has. Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, so I guess what he was wanting to do is go into the Dark World portal to see the map check. And I was gonna say probably not enough health to go through Spike Cave just yet.
Yeah, that would have been bold, and I've been super impressed if he had pulled that off.
Oh, we can get that flute now. Because that was Mirror out of Hype Cave. And Ice Rod, too. And Master Sword.
And Bombos. Do we have a Hype Cave?
Yeah, because I'm going to say it. Yeah, that's Hype. Because although Ice Rod and Bombos
actually need the medallion or the Ice Rod necessarily, but still, we got items.
But we got items, yeah. Ice Rod may not be necessary unless unless Trinex has an item. But the Bombos, I mean, it's good for magic conservation if you're going to Cold Stare. Well, which we can't do just yet because we have no mitts. But to put in perspective.
Still planning ahead. It is good conservation, like you said.
Yeah, but I do think what actually makes it hype is the consideration that the Master Sword and Mirror that was near the front. And
Lana is trying to pull off a very precise hammer yump without any pause buffers, but decides not to do it at the last seconds.
Yeah, I think she ran out. I don't thinks she had enough time for it, so she opted to bail out. And
yeah, that was her second attempt too.
Yeah, it's a bold effort to do it without pause buffers. Me personally, whenever I'm doing hammer yump, I prefer I have a visual cue with menuings with my menu that I use, so I can't line it up consistently with the floor if I'm doing a select buffer or something.
And hammer jump is one of those really persnickety, glitches you can do in this game. It is extremely precise, and it takes a bit of learning to figure it out.
Although I personally consider it like it's part of a bomb jump, which in itself is not really a glitch because it's more of a technique. Like it's a technique that you can learn. It's not because of it's not due to any like faults in programming. I would know because I am a computer scientist in real life. Like I'm always I'm studying computer science.
Sure, yeah, that makes sense. Lana taking the Death Warp to get to the beginning of the Palace of Darkness again. Good time save on her part, while Hayfield Babe picks up that flute. It's a nice travel item, but unless there's something in the mire area, that's not going to be a required item. And if I've been counting my items right, I think there is going to be an item on Helma Sawyer today.
Yeah, I would like to believe you, but Hayfield Bay is going to go into Hera following that mirror that he gets out of Hype Cave. So, I mean, I get it, and also it does also mean that we did see a key out on the front, so we're gonna have to go through the copy route. Gives time for Hayfield to kind of plan out the next move.
Take a quick breather. I gotta say, the room Lana's in is some of my favorite movements in this game. You know, it's nothing special. It's nothing super showy, but you know, just dipping around that spike and then immediately charging after it with the boost just feels good.
Yeah, although personally, one of my favorite bits of movement isn't particularly in a room. It's just it's doing key dashes. Like personally, one of my favorite things. Personally, one of my favorite things is just dashing through a door when you think when you think you're going to be bunking up against it, which in this case
instead you get a nice little click through.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because the game, the way you do it is that you actually have to line yourself up against a tile, like which enough so that you the 4 pixels that you get from dashing clips you into the door and you don't bunk off of it. How I kind of lined it up is using we're getting some
ooh.
I personally like to call it Nintendo power strats. Using
I don't see this very often.
Yeah, using bombs is a viable weapon against Helmasaur. But as I was kind of just to bring back to what I was saying, since the
no Lana Bean.
That's not good.
She had like 1 arrow left too. Oh man.
Yeah, that's a pretty rough death for Lana Bean. But to get back to what I was saying though, was since using dashing is 4 pixels per frame, if you set up in a way where your dash clips through the kind of somewhat clips through the door enough that you don't bunk off against it, you actually get past the door and you know, with the door being unlocked, and it just looks pretty nice. There's
feels good.
Yeah. And how I personally like to do it is line up against a tile, like if your position's just perfectly on a tile.
Yeah, doing that, any sort of tile positioning, like in the Hellway in Thieves Town, when you get that, I mean, that's a good feeling. But you know, for anybody who's trying to figure out exactly how to set up a key dash, it's really easy if you just set yourself up on a wall and then just do a dash turn towards the door.
Yeah, just what I tend to do is if you're doing like the ones where you're not positioned against the wall, just
like the ones in the pod basement.
Like that, and also stuff like the second key door in the back of Desert Palace. I like to think think in the context of tiles, and yeah, you can also do it in here with this this door. Although a lot of people won't do it. I know Ravis kind of does it, and actually did show it in one of his recent videos. Quick videos showing off a little movement tech.
I want to go back and talk about this bomb technique. I feel like, what was it, version 28? When did they get rid of the bomb and arrow expansions out of the item pool?
That was, I believe, V30. I don't know because I wasn't. I got into the community since around V30. During V30.
So oh, and a Titan's Mitt on Helmasaur. Goodness, look at that.
Okay.
But, bomb strats used to be a lot more common when you could have like a free 30 bombs in your inventory and you can just take them against Vitreous and whatnot. But nowadays, because you have to buy bomb expansions, it's just not worth it.
No, but with that being in mind, we can get into Ice Palace out of logic, but with no cane, meaning that you have to go to Ice Palace bomb jump, and in an era where Icebreaker is the go-to strat for Ice Palace, I don't see anyone going there immediately.
Yeah, anybody who does is straight up rolling the dice. And, rando's gonna rando. That could be the answer. But we'll never know until we get there.
Of course, the more cruel thing, if you're in that context, being that you...
Don't say it!
I'm gonna say it. I'll go and say it anyway, just like, it's putting Kane in Ice Palace, and that's usually the worst spot for Kane. If you're doing it, like, if you're in this era with Icebreaker.
Yeah, where, back in 2018, 2019, early 2020, you used to have to just, be good at that bomb jump in Ice Palace, but now Icebreaker with Kane of Samaria is so much easier and safer. Yeah,
and in that same context too, prior to pre-Icebreaker, Ice Palace was considered a pretty hefty gamble because of the reliance of Ice Palace bomb jump to even get through, and some runners just kind of swearing off Ice Palace.
Yeah, you'd always want to go mode Ice Palace if at all possible, and now it's a much safer gamble now because the Kane of Samaria makes a hook shot on the catfish.
That's a pretty nasty spot for it.
Yeah.
So we're closing in on Swamp Palace. We just need to flip. We usually need flippers for it.
And I like the way Vitasia talks about it. I think what Vitasia says. There's never a good time or a bad time to do catfish, but no one likes doing catfish.
No, like it's always there. It just sits there in the back of your mind, and it's one of the worst. It's one of the worst cases where if you find catfish to have it, it's either if catfish has something, and the other player it doesn't go there because they're swearing off catfish. That basically straight up that turns the tide of a race, especially in a 1v1 scenario where you're like in a tournament where it's a 1v1. If that one decision could basically end the race right there if they don't go there as quickly as like immediately right afterwards.
Yeah, and that death that Lana had on Helmasaur, Sin had caught up to her, and now Sin's not going to find the hookshot for a while, and so Lana's found another advantage.
Yeah, I think with this with the play that Lana B made, heading to catfish just directly after Pod, considering the depths that she took, it makes sense. If you're feeling like you that depth should not have been like taken, and you kind of feel somewhat behind in that context, definitely go to catfish because who knows, you could get bailed out.
Which is what happened here. Meanwhile, Hayfield makes easy work of our favorite moth boss. Makes it look easy with a hammer and a master sword. And it's always funny when we get to seeds like this. We are 34 minutes into this race, And we still haven't had anybody make it to the village of outcasts in Thieves Town.
No, like this is one of the more interesting cases where the seed opened up quite a lot, and there's a lot of divergence so far that, as it stands, it really doesn't like. It doesn't really like. There's really no need to go to Thieves Town, even though it is a crystal. Like, eventually, someone will go there. Even when the flute is just sitting there waiting over on top of Spectacle Rock.
You know, we only have 2 players that have, picked up that flute so far.
Yeah, and Lana Bean has not gone to Hype Cave yet. That's just to bring that into perspective. Everyone else did, but not Lana. And for what it's worth, Lana does not know about that flute. So if she does go to Hype first, and then immediately follows it up with the mountain play, she will get that flute and be in a nice little position.
Meanwhile, Sin's checking that bonk chest and hookshot cave. If you tuned in last week, you saw that had the hook shots, and that was just a nasty placement for that.
Yeah, which is personally one of my favorite locations for it because it like I say this because here's the reason why. It forces the logic of, oh, I can use the boots could be used as a way to get over to that chest and hookshot cave. Now at that point in the game, like normally in the vanilla game, you don't think about it because you have the hookshot already.
Hookshot, yeah.
So if you're coming from vanilla and you don't have a hookshot for that, you might be thinking, oh, I can't really access hookshot cave yet. But you'd be wrong. And if it does show up with the hookshot, then you kind of feel bad because you basically got punished for not knowing that you can use the boots as a way to get there. But
yeah, that's pretty a randomizer specific thing to know.
Yeah, it is a classic gotcha, a classic gotcha that can show up.
All right, Hayfield Bay being the first person into Thieves Town today. So what items are we looking for at this point?
Flippers. Straight up flippers. Like, but also there's also potentially Samaria if the Bakey is on the right side. But if it's not, then it's just flipper go mode. It's as it stands, it's Schrodinger's go -1.
Oof! Wow, we are 37 minutes in for that. We don't even need the Book of Medora to get into Desert Palace since we have that flute mirror combination.
Yeah, and we can just get to the back. We can get to the back of Desert without a problem. We can enter. We can use that mirror to quickly get to that starting point. There's Ether, and as Newstream was pointing out in the chat, Ether was also on Turtle Rock. So, there's the. So if Samaria were to show up, then that's a spot for the flippers.
Yeah, let's talk about this. If we want more rando this evening, then we want the flippers to be in Turtle Rock.
Yes.
Locked behind the cane.
Yes, and that's the thing. And actually, to one thing too, that Pedestal actually currently is the only thing that can show up there is those flippers.
Ooh, gross.
Which means too that considering that part of logic, while the ice rod, while the flippers can't show up in Ice Palace or Swamp for that matter, especially Swamp because you have that immediate lock right out of the gate. Ice Palace in particular, you have to swim over it, although not necessarily required to get into Ice Palace, it is still accounted in the logic. So the only way that could potentially be one potential item that could show up on those two spots is Samaria, if that chance does come up.
Sin.
I'm guessing
fairy?
Yes.
Okay, there we go.
That's what I was kind of under the impression of. Like,
Yeah, he wouldn't make a mistake like that.
no.
Makes good show of that movement tech in Spike Cave. It can be a little tricky to get those dashes in after you get hurt like that.
That's also another interesting thing about logic too, is that the logic does also expect either you have like a vulnerability item for Spike Cave, or it's like a bottle, whether it be some health refill or a fairy.
Alright, Hayfield Bay making his way to the back of Thieves Town. Gonna show a quick kill on Blind here. This is your first couple times watching a randomizer like this. Blind is difficult the first time you're playing this casually, but these runners know exactly what Blind's going to do and has a script they're going to follow to get 9 hits in.
Yeah, and this is not just random-specific behavior. This is vanilla behavior. You see this in the NMG run. If Hayfield B were to do this successfully, which he did for the most part, you don't have to worry too much about Blind being a big pain in the neck. And you can just focus on what's really important, and that's just getting those necessary hits in that specific script. Now, if you were to die, you won't have access to that script. And neither in modes like other modes like Boss Shovel, where Blind is in its respective dungeon.
And sometimes it's in logic too that the only thing you're going to have going into Thieves Town is Candace and Mario or Hammer, and those are both much trickier.
Yeah, more specific, more so the Hammer. We do see the other mail upgrade over on Hayfield's side on top of Bumper Ledge, which is
we're gonna wait to that as we walk away from that.
Yeah, it's a cape lock day, and so we're not. And I don't really expect Hayfield to be picking that up anytime soon, considering he does feel pretty comfortable with his current health pool and the blue mail. Joinker's wife does pick up that hook shot, so she's also in a nice little position.
Hayfield leaving my favorite boomerang behind. I'll try not to be too offended by that. And hopefully Hayfield just goes across the river here and finds that hook shot. So if he doesn't do it now, I don't know when he's going to find that.
I'm actually kind of curious, since did we ever see Lumberjack?
I want to say it was checked. I think it was like a piece of heart or something, but I wouldn't swear on it.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I was just kind of thinking about it because someone did point it out in the chat. Since are we gonna see?
Oh no, we don't have.
Here
flippers.
Here we go. Yeah.
Oh, this madman.
Yeah.
Oh, what a god.
That, my friends, is a curtain jump.
So the way the fake flippers glitch works is that you have to transition on the same frame that you enter the water, right? And so that is one I have not actually seen at all.
Yeah, that is a current jump. Yeah, it's actually, so one thing too, it's interesting. You actually have a decent amount of frames to make the fake flipper. It's actually until like the splash animation goes away. Like,
okay, yeah.
And of course it was patched out in the localized release. This is we're playing, for context, we're playing on the Japanese version 1.0 of the game. So it's mostly for the sake it's speedrun, for like vanilla speedrun sense, and also for the fact that it has those little convenience minor glitches like fake flippers.
Hayfield making his way to Pod. He's going to find those Titans mitts on a Helmosaur. And, even though we are taking wildly different routes, I don't think Lana is too far ahead of Sin and Hayfield. I mean, she has a clear advantage right now, but is not terribly ahead. Especially because we haven't found that flute yet, or the mirror yet in Hype Cave.
Yeah. This is actually interesting because she will at least see it. She can clear Hera, but she won't be able to get that she won't be able to get that flute.
Which, what she knows about the map so far is like, huh, Myers not required, so maybe the flute's just there for show. Once they get the mirror, they might make a priority to find that flute, but for now, she doesn't know.
Yeah. And for all we know, that the book could be locked behind the something like desert, because like if it is, then flute becomes necessary. Just the simple locking principle, where if an item locks, if one part of one other option of logic gets locked behind its own respective logic. So like for example, what we saw earlier with Eastern Palace, with the fire rod being lamp locked, when normally if that wasn't the case, the fire rod could have been a legal position, a legal fire source to get to the back of the back over to Almost Knights. That's that bit of principle in play.
Now, good news for Lana is that they're coming up to Death Mountain with the hookshot and Titan Smiths already, so they'll be able to clear out a good portion of this in one go.
Yes, and that is actually that's something.
Nasty bomb jump.
Yeah, I think Lana was actually higher up on the Y value, just in that case.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, because she ended up bonking on the. She actually ended up getting bonked on the up against the wall, and slid off, and because of that, she didn't have enough coverage to make it to the other side. So,
and I gotta love a good, rage bomb. Lana's thrown a good number of those, and I just gotta appreciate. That she take time out of her day to express her contempt at the seed, at the fairy, the thief, now this bomb jump on Sahashala. I think she is being real free with those bombs, and it's making my day, I think.
Yeah, sometimes you do see that from time to time, whether it be using bombs or a volley of slashes to express like some emotion, even though if we can't hear them, then we can express them in some form like this.
We know exactly what they're feeling, and Lana's going for the pot jump. This is another precise pot jump. What do you call it?
Hammer jump. Hair pot. Yeah. Looking like she won't be able to get this one.
That one's pretty precise.
Yeah, that one's actually one of the more preciser ones, considering you don't have like a way to line yourself up like it is with other ones. My personal go-to is, for a lack of a better name, it's known as the Phyllis T setup. Discovered by a more recent runner in the community, where you can actually line yourself up. If you move a little bit forward after one extra tile compared to the normal Dracarys setup, which involves when you bunk up against the wall, you're actually up against the or the bottom peg rather. You actually are lined up perfectly for this particular clip. And
how is that different from the Super Seed setup you see sometimes?
It's a little bit more. It's more. It's more so. Lana Bean didn't had the fairy didn't let it go, so has to retake a death here.
Yeah, with blue mail, I mean, it's just faster to just walk back up the stairs.
Yeah. But now I believe super speed is the faster one, although it's a bit more twitchy because considering you're at super speed movement, which is very, very twitchy. Now with like something like the Phyllis T setup or the Dracarys setup, it does require you a bit more precision. Especially with Dracarys being like essentially double pixel perfect. Although you can mitigate the double pixel perfect part by just if you have boots and you bunk up against the bottom peg when it's still up, and by doing so, you get a situation. You have to like constantly menu over to this specific pixel while being sure you don't have you're not moving in 2 pixels, but you have what's considered a 2 pixel movement where Link moves in both directions, like every single direction, an average of 1.5 pixels per frame. So if you have a 2 pixel movement, you actually don't clip in properly, and you actually slide up against the pot. Whereas the Phyllis T setup, you actually don't have that. It's a little bit there's a margin of error that I myself still have trouble. Like I still have trouble myself getting that margin of error down. But when you get it, it's actually relatively comparing the two. If you play it perfectly, it's pretty much the second. Like you do the super speed setup like practically perfectly. It's the second fastest of the hair pots. Is you with me?
Yes, I am with you. And it looks like Lana's finished up. The Hera got a crystal, heading over to the other side of Death Mountain. Meanwhile, Hayfield's in the Mire area, and I can't quite tell what that medallion was. Quake, Misery Mire.
Ooh, I did find Burna, which is okay. It's actually it's an invulnerability item. It is something to use, although it's not going to be all that useful considering Quake is required from Mire, and we don't have a way to get into it yet.
Yeah, so what have we not seen so far? I mean, obviously we don't have the Book Medora to check tablets. Lana's going to be the first one to take the hook shot up to Dark Death Mountain. Actually, have we seen Agina's cave yet? Is this the first time we're seeing it on Hayfield's screen?
Yes, very much so. Because we have not seen anyone head over to the desert area or the Mire area, ever.
Oh man, that would have been hype if they had found anything on that chest.
I don't know if Yoinkers did check Agina, then I didn't see it.
And then no one's did the Ice Palace. At this point, as long as Samar is not needed, which we can't tell until we get the Gaines Tower, then pretty much anybody who goes in the Ice Palace can assume they can go mode it. But I think people are going to wait for that until they know for sure, because they don't want to leave a required item behind.
Yeah, I think in this case, the pure, like with that logic we said, Mary, about the flippers, the only way we can see anything out of ice is if Samari were to show up, which is awful. Speaking of the flippers.
Oh no!
So that is a catfish required flippers, which we're now in Schrodinger's Go mode for. But with Schrodinger's No mode, to be more precise, because Lana Bean has not went up to Hype Give yet.
Yeah, but with flippers and hookshot, I mean, that's probably going to be our next stop, is going to that swamp area. Goodness. That hookshot. Last week, the hookshot's in a bad spot. This week, the hookshot is still in a bad spot. Though it looks like Hayfield's right behind Lana finding those slippers. And Lucas Luminara points out Hayfield's going to be in Goma with this. Wow, look at that turnaround.
We're now in Sugar's Go mode. At just under 55 minutes. This is actually pretty relatively quick. Now, again, I have to stress this: we're in Sugar's Go mode. It's very much possible that the cane could still be required for GT. Although, to be quite frank, there's only like 5 checks there, like for the cane. There's on the right side. There's only 5 checks. That being the compass room and a tile room. And Lana Beam also gets thrown into Sugar Skill mode here with this pipe K play.
Yeah, so Lana's gonna head right over to Swamp Palace at this point. Hayfield is maybe a minute ahead of Lana. Would you say that's about right?
Maybe about 30 seconds or so.
Yeah, still anybody's game at this point.
Okay, I love this. Lana being feeding the likes.
Lana.
I've never seen
animals.
I've never seen a seed. I've never seen someone who's willingly fed the likes.
Expressing dissatisfaction with that mere placement.
Yes. So out of the 22 possible locations, only 5 of them are locked by Samaria. So it's a 5 in 22. So it's only a 5 in 22 chance.
So I guess the question is, are our runners feeling lucky today?
Now, I feel as if also nice alert by the way. So it's pretty much just like going off of that. It's only like a roughly 20% chance for it to show up. So if they're going to go into GT, I reckon at this point you're going to see runners also kind of checking items along the way, seeing if Samaria were to show up. If Samaria does show up, then obviously it's not full-fledged go mode. Lana, or not Lana, Joan Curious actually took a death to blind. So we mentioned earlier about the script. Now, Joan Curious does not have that script anymore, and instead has to play it basically like a casual. Just you don't know what blind's going to throw at you, because it is seated.
Well, and let's talk about this real quick. Hayfield has lost a little bit of his advantage. He made an extra chest check that Lana skipped, and now is only seconds ahead of Lana.
There's Sankard
single
though.
Check.
Yeah, we did find Sankard, but I do understand the reasoning for this, because we still don't know if Kane's necessary. If it is necessary,
we don't have silvers. We don't have tempered sword.
Yeah, that too. The fact that we don't have a tempered or silvers, which I wouldn't be surprised if it's in GT, because it always is in GT, the silvers, brother.
Right.
Then I'm fine. Just I might need some water. Stay hydrated, by the way.
Yeah, do a posture check. Grab yourself some water.
Yeah. Also, welcome in Speed Gaming with a party of 41. You're seeing a relatively quick seed here for this open weekly. We are in Shredder's Go mode, with the Samaria being still out in the wild, and GT may still be necessary to complete this. Or Samaria could the big key could still be on the right side.
Oh,
which would mean Samaria's necessary.
Sorry, can we talk about that real quick? Hayfield's had that beautiful quick kill with the Ice Rod.
Yeah,
on Argus. That was pure art right there.
Yeah, that's actually one of the more hard. That's one of the more trickier methods for clearing that. But with the consideration that you only have Master Sword, it's worth to go. It's worth a try to go over it. I've never pulled it off because the Ice Rod startup time is pretty slow.
And here's a difference between Lana and Hayfield. Hayfield's got the sword or the flute, so he can flute on over to this area, but Lana has to walk, and it's not much.
Here we go again.
But it's not much time, but Hayfield needs every second he needs. Lana is gonna go buy a bomb upgrade?
I'm guessing for the sake of just I don't know about this. I'm guessing maybe more bombs to throw, just willy-nilly. I don't know. Like this is now normally runners will go and grab that that upgrade if they're low on like arrows or bombs.
Yeah, and like we talked about before, this Ice Palace bomb jump is not in the meta right now, with all the glitches that we know. And it probably won't ever be, but we're in one of the situations where we cannot use our Samaria icebreaker glitch, and we have to do the bomb jump. A lot of runners are kind of out of practice with it, and we might want to get a couple additional bombs for that.
Yeah, and this is one, and that's actually a good point. Yeah, this is a good point because the bomb jump is one of the more is the de facto trick to learn in NMG. Like it's a very important trick.
It saves an incredible amount of time when you're doing the no major glitches run of this.
Yeah, considering this is the SNES layout of Ice Palace and not the revised GBA version of the dungeon. So,
I've never thought about it before. I first played this game on the Game Boy Advance. I didn't even think about the differences between that and the SNES.
Yeah, in the GBA release, they actually revised the layout so that it's not confusing. Like the original dungeon layout, which is on the Super Nintendo version, requires you to go through a loop, which if you weren't, nice spin clip by the way.
Beautiful! Wow.
You don't see that often. Actually, funnily enough, you don't ever see this come up.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen that before.
I've seen it a couple times. It's more of a swag route, but yeah, in the original release, you actually have to go and do a little like shenanigans with this loop, and the way the dungeon's set up, it's a little bit confusing. The GBA release actually made it a bit more clear as to how the loop is supposed to be done.
Meanwhile, Hayfield's entering Cold Stare at 102.30. He's going to go for this corner kill on Cold Stare. Doesn't quite get it, though.
I guess to
save some time if they get this quick kill off.
I guess to be fair, it's just to soften them up a little bit so that you can do a quick spin on them to pretty much knock them down completely.
That's true.
But it also makes sense considering that you don't have a tempered sword to make this do a consistent enough damage to just knock them in the corner and get that nice quick kill. But
Lana gets it though, and that was very clean on her end.
Yeah, but for obvious reasons, not to save a bit of time, we don't go into Ice Palace too much here. So in this case, we're going into Shorter Skill mode. Shorter Skill mode GT. Samaria is still in play. There's a total of 21 chests and a single torch to make up a total of 22 possible locations for this big key. One of them is that big key, and there's 5 spots there that we can't access. So from 1 to 22, if you want to put your guesses in chat where the big key might show up, with respect to the fact that we may not be able to complete this dungeon without the King of Samaria, please do so. And if you get
it looks like Lucas Luminara is really hoping for that Samaria requirements. I'm
Yeah,
guessing a very fun 18.
yeah. This is along that area where the big key made is locked behind that requirement with the Samaria. So, actually, I don't think it is, since I believe it's. Yeah, no, no, it's just right on the cusp of it. Okay, I had to count it out. There's 17 locations that we can access currently, and
Well,
on
it's
top
time
of
to find out.
yeah, and I'll also say this before we close the guesses: if you get it exactly or are close to it, then good on you. I don't give out random seeds, which you can just roll on the website or /raw or like some or internet points. Those are fine. I mean, internet points are fine. I just kind of just go for simple good on you. Simple as that. All right, here we go.
Going for the Hope Room first.
Makes sense.
Has a lot of writing on this.
If Samaria is here, we don't have to worry.
That's very true. We could find Samaria just in the process of checking the left side Ganon.
Yeah, this is just to put it into context. If Samaria does not show up here and the big key is on the right side, then we the only spots that we have are there's desert that's available. We have we have to go.
Already went through all of desert too.
Yeah, and we also did see yes, that's true. We didn't see Samaria there. We did so. Then in that case, we also have we have the remainders of swamp and ice available. Big key, we're good.
Aw, man. I mean, yay.
We're in the clear. That was number
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I want to say I think
6.
5 or 6. So the
If you count Bob's torch.
Yeah, closest one to it to break a tie, and the closest one to it, which will break a tie for, is Kinyu 10 with a 7. I break ties by whoever gets the closest one, the first in the chat. So just to put it like the one I see. So good on you, Kinyu 10.
Don't spend those internet points all in the same place.
Yes, and which, funnily enough, was for a bit of history. At a history lesson, was as we're climbing the tower here, is as we're climbing the tower, we saw Shrubba actually use that same way to break ties when the guessing game, when the Sauce Robot was used for big key guessing games, for I think around 2019, 2020, something like that. I think it was like more so 2020, not 2021.
So, real quick, so Lana is just 12 seconds behind Hayfield entering the gauntlet. And the gauntlet can be trolly. And so if Lana has a good setups and Hayfield has any difficulty on these ice kills, I mean, Lana might make up those 12 seconds really easily.
Yeah, so this is actually this is actually really nice. Like, I want to say this too. This is actually a really nice seed. Yes, there are a few jokes here and there, like that required hook shot on Catfish, which led to the go mode, which essentially became the go mode flippers. That's kind of a big joke, but the rest of the seed was pretty much relatively kind. I know.
Yeah, it was.
I know, crazy as that sounds. Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if Hayfield does actually check the last 4 chests of the game to make sure that we have a sword or silvers. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if silvers were in the basement of GT like it usually is. Because it's, come on, silvers are not, well, usually or always, depending on how you look at it. I'm more leaning towards always in GT.
Hayfield and Lana both making good use of that ether medallion. Normally we use the Cane of Samaria to get through these rooms quickly, but sans that, we have to use that ether for the quick kills.
Yeah, but the good news is that we have half magic, so we don't have to worry too much. Nice.
We know Lana's gonna give away a free bomb for that.
That is that's incredible.
That is terrible.
Of all the places, so of all the places where the Cane of Samaria could have shown up, I was not thinking that spot. That's nice. That's the most incredible spot for the Cane of Samaria I've ever seen.
Good job, Sahasrahla. You rolled a good seed.
Bar none. The best spot for that in the entire game. And nothing on Moldorm 2, so we're gonna have to deal with 52 spins. Joy.
Time to spin to win.
If you have remembered every single game of action that's on Faction 52, now is your time to break it out.
You know, with such a long fight ahead of us, Hayfield's kind of extended that lead more from 12 seconds to probably like, I don't know, 30, 35 seconds at this point. This Ganon fight can go pretty horribly. Yeah,
it's but both players do have blue mail, although Lana Bean is 1 heart short at 14 compared to Hayfield's 15.
And I think at least one of them, wasn't there a blue goo we found somewhere, or was it just the red goo we found earlier?
I think we saw a red goo earlier.
Ooh, nice triple hit from Lana.
Yeah. It's double 2. Looking like a 3-2-1 coming up here. Yeah, very clean.
All right, Ganon entered his final arena at 1:11:13. So let's see how far behind Lana is.
Ganon does have a point, though.
Oh, that Samaria setup. Oh, that was beautiful.
1:11:33 that I saw, which I believe that was.
Lana's gonna go get some extra health though from the farrier down here.
I mean, I get it. Totally understandable. Oh yeah, yes. Okay, I love using this. It's the Samaria setup, and he's actually using the lag here to kind of help him. And he's also gonna go ahead and pop that red potion here.
Yeah, these bats hurt a lot.
They do, and
let's talk about this real quick before I miss the opportunity. No one has finished the race yet. We have 17, 18 people racing, and no one has finished yet. And Lana and Hayfield are both in Ganon fights.
Yeah, of course we will reveal the results of the race as soon as one of these two finish up. So stay tuned for that. If there is someone that has finished before these two, we will let you know, like as the two finish up.
Yeah, it's looking like our restreamers though are making quick work of this seed.
Yeah, to be frank, that is a thing. Swamp Palace, okay, we were never gonna see that, considering that we were go moding this dungeon.
The only thing we didn't see was left side. There was no way we were gonna get that.
Now, to be fair, one thing that could happen is if a fall were to occur, which I don't want to wish anything on that part. If that were to be the case, then someone could just like say, okay, I guess we go to swamp. We know it's left side swamp, considering that Hayfield had checked in the chest below and did not find silvers there. So it is either left side swamp or the big chest. But it looks like they're actually doing pretty well. Hayfield's gonna go and doing some triple setups, make quick work of that.
Thankfully, once we get to the final phase of Ganon, It's pretty easy to prevent damage. So at this point, it's just a matter of not falling off and hitting at least 2 swords per torch.
Yeah,
Sometimes I think Havel's gotten 3 a couple times with a good setup.
yeah. This is triple setups, so he's actually getting 3 spins per phase if he lights it at a specific point in the fight. He's actually intentionally letting Ganon shoot fire bats as a way to get himself into a good position to take to light the torches at that point. And there we go.
Really clean fight from Hayfield. That is not easy.
Yeah, it's a 52 spins. It is time consuming, but
It is a
Hayfield,
slog.
yeah, Hayfield without those Samaria strats was able to go ahead and take first on our restream with an official race time of 1:14.50, and it's also first place overall.
Yeah, way to go, Hayfield. What a race. Really well played on his part.
Yeah, and for what it's worth, it was a nice jet seed, although kind of slowed down a little bit by the fact that we had to do a Master Sword serverless fight. But even then, Hayfield applied the Samaria strats, which actually sped up his fight quite considerably for Lana Bean, who's actually playing it safe. Which I don't blame her. It's a tedious fight. If you're not comfortable with that Samaria strat, it's best to play it safe. Like, that's basically what it comes down to. Like, if you feel like you don't know a specific strat, just don't risk it on a race. Just do what you know you can do, and just play safe.
And no one looking at the race streamers, we don't know where the other swords are either. GG to Lana with another clean finish in that Ganon fight.
Yeah, GG's to her. She will be finishing second on our restream with an official race time of 1:16.06, and it's also going up for second place overall.
Yeah, really well played by Lana and Hayfield. Goodness gracious.
Yes, the top not only as our two restreamed runners had also finished first and second place respectively, but also amongst a total of 21 runners has also managed to rise to the occasion and actually finish first and second as respectively. And we also are joined by Lana Bean. GG.
GG, Lana.
Thank you so much, GG.
Oh, okay.
How do you feel about the seed?
If it wasn't for Pod, I'd be in first.
Yeah, we were sorry to see that Helma death.
Yeah, it's coming in second. I'll take it.
Yeah, it's second place. We do both from both of us. We do really appreciate the amount of bombs that we've been seeing, like we saw from you, which is just in the most unexpected spots, especially the feeding of the likes. That was completely unexpected on our part.
They all deserved it, I swear.
Well, we saw, we believe you.
Samaria location, huh? That's Samaria?
Yes.
That was awful.
That's the most. That is the most amusing spot for a Samaria I've ever seen. Of all the spots where the Samaria could have been, I did not think that's a valid spot for the Samaria, with consideration that it's a Samaria-less seed.
Mm-hmm. For a minute, I was considering looting extra chests, but then I was like, there's a good chance that Samaria is not needed, so better just go and then pick up a few chests along the way and see what happens.
Yeah, and I don't blame you, because it's a Master Sword serverless seed, so it's one of those cases where you actually have to figure out what's the most optimal way to take out the first 2 phases. And we actually saw that from Hayfield, where he employed Samaria strats. Taking advantage of that.
But I have not perfected that method yet, so I thought better wait.
Don't worry, me neither. I've never actually attempted to do it myself.
Yeah, it's scary when you're like going in for the long haul. You got 52 spins to go in. I agree. That's the same thing I would have done, is play it safe.
And every bit of magic counts, because I had no green potions and my half magic is all I had, so I couldn't take a chance on getting hit extra and losing extra magic on a fight that may have needed all magic if the Ganon fight went wrong.
Yep. And as I was mentioning as well, playing it safe is the best thing you could do. And if you don't know a specific route, if you don't know a specific strat, that's the best thing you could really do.
Yeah, exactly. And I was really happy with the routing overall. I mean, I was really happy to find flippers before finding mirror, to be honest with you. I was really thinking about going to Hype Cave earlier, but then Hype Cave is Hype Cave, so I was like, Death Mountain first.
Fair.
You know,
but-
it's surprising how little difference that made. That Hype Cave was like the last thing you did, and it was the first thing that Hayfield did. It made almost no difference.
Yeah, I guess it depends on how well you route in both Dark Death Mountain and Hype Cave together. And Death Mountain was open for a long time, especially once I got those mids, so that was always on my mind before even hitting up Thieves Town or Skull, really.
Yeah, I mean, and also one thing too, that to actually, for the sake of actually of the logic's sake, this was actually one of the very rare well, not very rare, but one of the rare cases where you are required to use to do an Ice Powers bomb jump, straight up.
Oh, I never thought about that. Yeah, good call.
Yeah, because of the Samarian GT.
Right. Wow, that is interesting. Well, I don't think you're ever required to do that, are you? I mean, that's still a glitch by logic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the icebreaker. Yes, icebreaker is considered a glitch, but it's more of a convenience. But I would argue that I consider it somewhat required because you don't have that luxury of icebreaker in this seed. So yeah, and in that case, actually, while I'm noticing this, Hayfield B has joined us in the booth. GG.
GG's.
What a race.
Yeah,
What a
close race,
yeah.
but close race between you two, and it generally was one of the best races that I've seen on what is essentially a jet seed, although made slower considering the sword situation.
Oh yeah, and definitely catfish. I was a bit shocked there. Oh, hook shot, really? So
Not a fun surprise.
Yeah,
it was something with my route today. I decided to, when I got Dark World access, I can check with Bunk Rocks. Let me check Lumberjack. Let's go up the mountain. And I saw the flute there. And okay, let's do Hype Cave into Pod. But then I got Mirror there. And I was like, okay, now I don't need to run all the way to Pod. I can just flute there afterwards. So yeah, I did go all the way to Digging Game, picked up my flute, activated it. So I probably should have gone pod then, but hey, let's just do this. And since I did that, I could route in a catfish with a north route. So that was very convenient.
And while we have a pause real quick GG's a Sin, who is finishing up his Ganon fights and is going to have an official time of 1:22:38, finishing 4th place overall and 3rd on the restream. GG's to him.
GG.
GG.
All right, so Hayfield, I mean, you had a collection rate of 128.216. You got the race finish under an hour and 15. I mean, is there anything you feel like you could have done differently?
I could have, probably should have done pod first, but then I would have gotten mitts.
Who knows where that would have led you?
Yeah, I can't really say. But the way I ended up routing this, it's definitely in favor and that was mostly because of I got mitts for the last crystal dungeon, and then what is to do then? Yeah, overworld. Let's check Mire area, and then up to the mountain, Hookshot Cave, had it. Missing Sumaria, but hey, let's.
We found it in the end.
I'm actually was very glad for the Sumaria because I have practiced Ganon Master Sword with Sumaria, so I was a bit nervous. Okay, how should I do Ganon without the Sumaria? It would probably have turned out okay, but I was really glad for Sumaria.
I mean, and how often does it happen that you make it all the way to Ganon without a Samaria? I mean, that's not even worth planning for. That's like a barely ever gonna happen.
No, not in a 7/7 defeat Ganon. That's very rare. It must be a mystery seed or something, reduced crystals.
So while we have a pause here for a second, so what are Lana, Hayfield? What are y'all's favorite modes to race here?
Open or equivalent, honestly, for me.
You said what, Lana?
Open or equivalent for me, pretty much.
Oh, open, yeah.
My favorite must be inverted keys or inverted AD keys.
No, sir. You take that back. Ugh.
It's so fun early game. You can end up like on Trinex, Moonpearl Trinex. It had happened once.
That's horrifying. That's enough to make me say I'm never playing AD inverted.
Yeah, you should definitely. It can be challenging early game, but that's the fun part of it. Like have this crazy Mothula fight with 4 hearts. That can be scary.
I like the most basic of basic. I mean, I'm okay with this. I'm okay with starting boots or something like that. My brain just gets way too confused doing a keys mode or cross keys or something. I do that on occasion for fun.
Yeah, I agree, Lana. I mean, I'm a very big fan of standard or open, but the minute you start introducing more of this, the less my brain can comprehend, like cross keys or I saw who was it posting yesterday about the new true pop mode?
With Structural Mike did announce that.
Yeah, and he's in chat right now. Structural Mike has put together a pot mode. And what was it? It was like Triforce hunts where every pod can have an item or something.
Saw that the other day. It looks scary.
Yeah.
Then you
Oh,
gotta learn where all
Rob's
the
has it.
pots are. You have to learn
Yeah.
what the pots are. Now you gotta learn where all the pots are. That's just too much for my head.
That's you put a gun to my head and asked me to tell you where all the pots are, and I have no idea where the pots are in this game. And Rob's here, one of our trackers today, has the deets on this. We got 213 out of 420 Triforce hunts as cross keys and shop sanity.
Oh, I saw Jay Bradley, and apparently he decided to go for every single Triforce, and apparently that overflows the game, and it no longer recognizes that you have over 213. So you kind of had to hook push through Ganon to actually beat the seed.
Oh, that's funny.
Apparently it's over 255 or something. I understand. I didn't see much or all that.
Goodness gracious. And, another quick shout out to Robs and Jinxie Girl who've been tracking for us today. And y'all put our trackers to work today. I mean, even from like the first minute of the game, we were taking wildly different routes throughout the seed.
Yeah, this was a very this was a seed that promoted divergence, and it was also one of the more interesting. It's actually really interesting too, considering it was also a jet seed, and the times too. Like wow, like look at those times. Lana, Hayfield and Lana being first and second, Sin being fourth behind Artie Walsh. That's some good times on what's essentially a jet seed.
And I feel like it wasn't even a free jet seed either. I mean, you had to do things very specifically to get this correct.
I felt extremely good for the routing. It just was the execution that got me.
Yeah, that does happen too. It time to time. I mean, while the routing may be the best, execution is at the end of the day a pretty big decider. To be quite honest, it's one of those things where if you you could be the best execution in the world, and if and still have like some error in execution.
Yeah, very true. I'm looking at around 113, 112 maybe if I don't goof up in pod and also have the Hira issues that we won't talk about.
We have all been there.
Stupid.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, who hasn't been through a seed and tried to do a death warp and discovers, oh man, I had a fairy.
I just got that from what, Paradox, I think. Paradox had 2, including 1 with a fairy. So darn stupid.
Yeah, we have. Anybody who plays this game has done that. It's guaranteed.
Yeah, that's definitely true. It happens from time to time.
And it's funny too because you both are very experienced, very good runners, and it just goes to show you there's always more you can do in this kind of game, and it's just hard to keep track of these things because do you all have a rough estimate of how many seeds you've ever played of this game, how many races you've done?
I think I had too many races.
Too many.
But it's it's very fun. So
I've only been racing since September, I think. So races wise, probably less than 100.
That's amazing, Lana. Wow.
Yeah, and it goes to show like if it for 100 races and being able to just rival some of the game's best players. That's impressive.
Like props for that. Goodness.
Yeah, that is just straight up impressive. Like, and then like, do you have plans to whenever they reveal it, do the qualifiers for the main tournament?
Yeah, I may give it a shot. I think last time I tried, I was only able to get in all but 1 qualifier. Well, I should say I was able to. I only ran a few qualifiers, and it was 1 short of qualifying for anything, so I wasn't actually able to even qualify for the qualifying. So, but yeah, I mean, if it works out time frame wise, I am up for that. That sounds like fun. I don't care if I win or lose. I'm not going to beat the Gamachu very often. I'm not going to beat a lot of those high up runners, but I'm going to have fun if I try it.
Yeah, that's what it really amounts to. And that you just try your best and just do the best you can. Really,
Exactly.
I may do the qualifiers just myself, just mostly just to have a bit of fun. I have no aspirations to make it really far in the make a chance, like the big chance to qualify, considering how I play. But that's just not mostly a me thing.
Yeah, I'm gonna stay here in the booth while y'all do that. I am more comfortable watching people play than actually racing the game.
We appreciate commentary just as much as everything else. You guys do a fantastic job.
Aw, thanks.
Yeah, that's like, thank you.
Thank you for having us here.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you all, tracking commentary and streamers and all that. You guys do a fantastic job. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks. So, big thank you to y'all too. I mean, it's stressful volunteering at Restream because you want to do a good job, you want to have a good showing, but rando's gonna rando, and you never know what's gonna happen. So, thank y'all for putting yourselves out there for us.
Oh yeah, that like not only are the trackers are the big heroes here, but also it's just the runners like giving us content to watch.
It's fun for sure. I love watching. I love racing. It's all fun. I'm also thinking about volunteering for you guys and doing stuff. That sounds like fun as well.
Oh yeah, like the more the merrier.
One of us. One of us.
I'll probably do that here pretty soon.
So then, Lana, since you only got started in 2017, before you have to go here, what got you into racing rando?
Just watching other people do it. I mean, I've spent the last couple of years watching Willard J. Bradley and watching Fred Coughlin and quite a few other people I can't name off, and it just looked fun. So I've been playing this game since it came out, at least a couple times a year, play through it casually, and suddenly the rando comes out, and it brought a whole new love back to the game. So that's pretty much me.
Yeah.
And how about you, Hayfield? Do you remember what got you into a rando?
Yeah, it's pretty much the same here. I play this vanilla game casually, like a couple of times every year. And then I discovered on Twitch there was this thing called Randomizer. Oh, I have to check that out. And once I played it, I've been here since then because I got hooked on Rando.
Right? You can't ever leave now.
No, of
Nah,
course.
it's too fun.
Yeah. So,
I
like
think
for
it
me,
gets
like
better with
to
every version.
yeah, for me in particular, I never grew up with the original game. I was born way after the game was released. But I like one day, like during college, like some college day or whatever, or not even college, it was like before that. I was just sitting around. I think it was the GDQ race that I saw some randomized for the first time on YouTube, and then I tuned into the race, and I'm like, I tuned into an actual race. I think it was the fall 2018 tournament, and I think it was with Andy, and that was where I said, okay, this is I want to get involved, like with commentary. I did racing just shortly afterward. I saw in Sword, and here I am now. Just I'm the one now being the one who's rolling the seeds, doing like basically being like the big role model for commentary, and just being was essentially a vital asset to the community.
Yeah, and it just goes to show you. I mean, you can join at any time and start getting involved in the community. You don't have to be, like for me personally, I'm not any good at this game. I have fun with it, but you don't have to, be a big streamer or a well-known figure to race this game. You can join up and then start helping out once you have the basics down.
Yeah, and I also find fun in other things, stuff like I actually do get a kick out of making MSU packs. Like I'm making like various MSU packs for games that I like. That's outside of Link to the Past, or whatever things I find interesting, like something of what fun packs to make from there. And I also have taken up the challenge of making my own sprite too. Like my own sprite being that's representative of my essentially my identity here on the internet. Just a green bear as a scientist, and having a bit of fun and playing random. Just I want to at least express myself. Just be myself.
Yeah, absolutely. And if if we're talking about this and any of this sounds like something you want to do, go ahead and hop on the Speed Gaming Discord. Go ahead and hop on the Link to the Past Randomizer Discord, and there are just resources available to you. Whether you just kind of want to go through guides by yourself and figure it out, whether it's playing the game, making sprites, making the MSU packs, or you want to get somebody to help mentor you, or you just have questions to ask, the Discord is the place to go to get those resource help.
Yeah, and I know every summer, every around spring summer, the Goma podcast does a mentor tournament, because if you think if you think you have the what yeah, if you feel like you want to try the racing yourself in an area where where people are with people that actually know how to play the game and they have experience with it, wanting to teach the new players on on various principles. That's the place to go. The mentor tournament is how I personally got into racing to begin with. I've been in it twice. I've been in the first mentor tournament and the second mentor tournament, and then I was also a mentor for the third one. And I'm not gonna stop doing that ever. Like I'm never gonna stop being like maybe a mentor or like some figure that knows how to play the game and teach people how to play the game, just for the sake of getting new people in. I love seeing new players. I believe everyone has a chance to be the best racer, regardless of skill level. That's basically how I see it.
Yeah, Link to the Past Randomizer is great. It's got a good place in my heart.
Yeah, and even then, there's like it's not just Link to the Past randomizer that you can try out. There's like tons of other randomizers, and honestly, Link to the Past randomizer was the way that maybe branched out to other games, try out different randomizers as well. I got involved with 2 Final Fantasy randomizers, Final Fantasy 1 and Final Fantasy 4 Free Enterprise. Like those are some really fun randomizers for anyone who wants to try out an RPG rando. And just the randomizer, like this game is like that jumping point. Like if you want to see other randomizers, this is a good place to just watch speed gaming, see what the best what randomizers stick to you. And yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, and we briefly got to talk about the sprite development. Is custom made by a lot of community members. Hayfield, Lana, if y'all still around, are there any sprites that y'all are hoping are going to get released? I know you're a Mega Man person, Hayfield, but are we looking for Zero at all?
I haven't no thoughts about that really now. I can't come up with something I really, really want to be in as a sprite.
Right.
There are so many out there already. So of the favorite games like Mario's. Yeah.
Yeah,
there are good choices out there.
Yeah, the last I actually did pull it up. There's actually currently 414 different sprite options for people who want to customize, like make their rando experience themselves. And I sure definitely made my own. Like I'm of course my sprite is one of those 414, and that's because I wanted to make one that represents myself. I want to have something that could be unmistakably me.
And let's talk about this. You don't have to know what you're doing to develop these sprites. You don't have to have all this experience in it. I mean, P-Train made the bobblehead sprite, and he just took the vanilla assets and froze the body so Link has a bobblehead while he plays.
Yeah, it's funny, and then it's as simple as that. You don't have to be like as skilled of an artist. You could just do something silly like that.
Silly and unique, though. Yeah.
Totally use that if it was a selectable thing. I wish they would allow that.
I don't know if Patreon is actually wanting to release it, but it would be kind of funny if that was actually a legitimate option. Just something that Patreon has made just to pass off of a whim.
My understanding is that they said it was too close to the original sprite or something, but I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, I also do feel like, and one thing I will say too is like it doesn't have to be like this like close to the original sprites at all. You don't have to like be as exact. With my sprite in particular, all I did was I just took a little fun story about this. I made a league logo. I do league logos. For the past two, for the 3 league seasons that I've been a part of, every one of them I've made I made a logo for our team because I am artistic. I'm artistically inclined. Like I do have a bit of artistic know-how. And one of the times I've actually made my own character, whose name is Professor Renderick Grizzleton. He's that green scientist bear I was talking about before. He ends like I just made a sprite of him from the side, and then one day I'm like, well, I guess I'll just make it my own. I'll just do my own sprite. And then it took me about I stopped on it, and then I finished it out in 2 weeks. And then, with the help of the community, I was able to make my own sprite, and it's just incredible. And it's now on the website. You get to play as you if you want. You can play as me.
Yeah, like I said, Rando's so great. I mean, there's so many good things that come out of this.
Yeah. With that said, though, Yoinker's wife has dropped into the Ganon fight. I was gonna go ahead and do this 52 spin madness, I guess.
Yeah, this is not a fun thing to do. I mean, you're playing for an hour 40 minutes, and then have to sit through this slog of a fight. I'd be doing the same thing as Yoinkers and grabbing a couple backup potions. simply because your palms are going to get sweaty. You're trying to you don't want to only do this in one go. I mean, this is stress right here. This is stress incarnate. Is just trying to finish a silverless Ganon's fight.
Yeah, and again, I don't blame her. Like if you're starting out and you're not comfortable with the Master Sword serverless fight, the best thing you could do is just load up and just practice the fight. Like and one nice thing too is that if you're wanting to learn something too, like there are options. The practice hack is one of the best ways to actually learn the game and actually learn and figure out these specific scenarios, like what we're seeing here with Yoinker's wife in this Master Sword serverless fight, and stuff like this with using the hookshot as a means of protecting herself from getting damaged. One thing I did note too was actually the fact that she doesn't have something like she doesn't have the cape or the burna. So she's going into this with no invulnerability items.
Yeah, this is. I mean, for something that's just so simple, I'm like, take your sword, spin it again, and it sounds simple, but it's just hard, y'all. If I'm sure many of our chat members have at least done a casual run of this game, but this is stressful. It's hard. It's simple but hard to master.
Oh, and that is a death from Yoinker's wife, and looks like she's opting to just throw in the towel, forfeit out. I don't blame her. It's not an easy fight. It's getting pretty long. So
yeah, I mean, we're just thankful that Yoinker's wife, put themselves out here for us. Like we talked about earlier, being on Restream is stressful.
Blame her at all. And also here's Yoinker's wife. GG, valiant efforts.
GG.
Yeah, I'm no good at Master Sword serverless Ganon.
No, yeah, that I was mentioning. Yeah, it's like this, and one of those situations where it's more in those situations where you don't have a invulnerability item or whatever. It's a perfect thing to just perfectly fine. Just load up the prac hack and actually just practice it. It's it's a good learning tool, and you can the stuff that you learn gets put back into the rando, and I mean it's a good effort on actually doing the Master Sword serverless fight, even though you still struggle with it.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I thought I'd give it the old college try anyway.
Yeah, I mean, no one plays rando. It starts up a scene and says, "Oh man, I hope I get to do Master Sword Silvers today, or Master Sword Silverless today." No one really wants to do that.
No.
Well, I'm getting a lot better with my tempered Silverless. At least I can get through that one.
Yeah, and that's the good thing.
What's the difference there? Is it goes from 52 spins to something like only 32, or what's the math there?
That it's actually from 52 spins to just 12.
Goodness, that's a huge difference, definitely.
Yeah,
it's a 40 spin difference.
But Yonkers, we've been talking about how each of us got into rando earlier today, or a couple minutes ago. I mean, do you want to share how you got with the rando community?
I got into rando actually when I was living in Japan. I was there for 10 months on a student exchange, and it was a Zeldathon, and I saw the rando and I was like, oh, that looks really neat. And then I just started following rando, and the next thing I know, I'm tracking, I'm playing, I'm never getting any better at playing, so I'm just tracking.
Me too.
That's kind of what I am as well. I at least my whole thing is that I'll put the best effort I can. It's worth just if my opponent is like, if I have a really rough if I'm up against a pretty tough opponent or something, I'm just gonna put the best effort I can. Just put up a good fight. The best I could possibly do. Play the best I can possibly play.
Yeah.
You know, and that's all anybody can ever ask for. And you know, we just want to express our gratitude. We've been talking about restreaming yourself, being brave enough to put yourself out there is hard, and we just want to thank you and all of our other restreamers today for volunteering for this, because you didn't have to, and you went ahead and put yourself out there for us, and we're really grateful for that.
Thank you.
Well-
Thank you for volunteering to do the restream. I know the work that goes behind it, and it's very much appreciated.
Yeah, it's I think all of us love contributing to the community in these small ways, and every time I always have fun. I know, Render, I'm sure you get a lot of fun out of doing this too.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite favorites. It's one of my favorites games. Like, it's legitimately one of my favorite games. I was gonna put it just put it as simple as that, because I do need to like go in just a few. So let's wrap it up here. Any final thoughts for any of us who are in this booth?
Thank you all again. Appreciate everything you guys do.
Thank you.
Just want to tell everybody to remember that you're the reason that someone smiles every day.
Oh, that's a good way to end this. That's right.
Yeah. Like I said earlier, thank you for having us here. You are doing an amazing job with the restream. Yeah, GG's
Thank you.
everybody.
GG's to everyone. And then we have a couple final thank yous to give out as well to Robs and Jinxie Girl for tracking for us. Drossi coordinated the restream in the beginning. And then Renderer, thank you for being here with me today.
No problem, yeah. And just to make it really quick before we head this off, currently on Speed Gaming 2, the Final Fantasy 1 Randomizer Duckling Derby is currently in progress. Following that, though, we will also have our Zelda 1 Randomizer Weekly race on SG1, and then following up on tomorrow, for that matter. We actually have a couple of things to keep notes of. Currently, as the schedule states, we only have a one Super Mario Odyssey Bingo tournament match on there, subject to change. But you want to stick around for this one. We do have for our 11 p.m. race the No Logic Key Lock daily race. If you think the logic was pretty nice for this one, throw that in, take a look into tomorrow's one, because as the name implies, there's no logic, straight up.
Yeah, let's see how bad it can get.
Well, yeah, like the runners are going to be using a lot of different glitches and exploits to break the game over their knees on a very much an interesting glitch mode that currently that's scheduled for 11 p.m. As I mentioned, you definitely want to check that out. So yeah, with that being said, thank you guys for watching this, and until then, take it easy, everybody, and have a good night.
Good night, everybody.